All right, I want to do a video on market cycles and how you can kind of get a sense of how you can trade a day, how you can plan a trade, and essentially something I mean, it's not what I do per se. I mean, it's something I do, but it's something I realize that the professionals do as well. But it just makes common sense when you think about it. For instance, now, how do you know this is going to be a good place to start buying when you start seeing all this happening on the day? This is today's price action. And I remember seeing this and I thought we are going to get a third leg down. And we had a double bottom. But how do you know this is an area? And the thing I use whenever I'm trading is that I know that whenever price is moving somewhere, it always is price is going there to test something. It's testing a level, testing a moving average, testing something. And I know one thing about this thing called the market cycle. I'm gonna put this chart. Let me just type it in on different windows so you can see. All right, so this is essentially the idea, right? So remember we said that price goes in a breakout and then it gets to a certain point where it's testing some sort of resistance, it pulls back, right? Essentially what it is traders are now taking profits because their risk is so high, and then it goes up to another level, right? And then it pulls back, and then it goes for a final leg up. Usually it's a three-leg move. And then what it does first is it generally tends to go into a sideways trading range. So say for instance now we changed, actually I'll just keep it down, same color. It will test this level at first. Sometimes it will test it depending on how strong it is. Sometimes it could come all the way down to this level too, right? So one thing we know is this is support, this is support. Price may come all the way down here, test this, pull back up, right? Um, so it could do this, or it may come down and then do this as well, come back. Could even hold here or sometimes come back up. And this is resistance. So we just mark that in red. And the cycle continues that way, right? So essentially what's happening is price is doing that, going back, and then maybe it might just break out, or it may come down and then come to this level and then possibly test that, go back up. It could come back down, come back up, usually 50% comes back down, right? So that's what causes the head and shoulders. But the point is, we know that whenever we have this sort of breakout and it starts to wedge like this, I'm going to put that in yellow because that's usually what I use for channels. We know that it starts to wedge like this, then we know that when it pulls back, it has to test this area because this is the area where the bulls would have entered. The bears want to get out around here and make the same amount of money as the bulls have made, and it goes into a channel. Sometimes the bears movement could be really strong and test this. We know this already. Once we see this, we get this, right? And this is something we watch out for in the higher time frame. So that's the same thing here. So we have this wedge top, right? Pulled back, and where do you think it's coming to test? We know it could test here, could test here. These are different levels of support, and it's come here, and here we have a wedge bottom. Where's it headed back to test the highs? Just following the market cycle. Same thing we said, down to the top, back up here. Usually you can tell you're at the top because you have a wedge. You had a bull surprise, 1, 2, 3. Here it's trying to come back to the bottom. Sometimes you have a higher low, in which case we're probably going higher. I mean, that generally tends to happen whenever we are in a strong trend. And here you can see it. That's generally what's happening here. We came down, tested this one, so we didn't get this far. Sometimes it does go far enough because this is 1, 2, 3. Tested this one, tested this, came here, tried to go higher, failed, went lower, and went even higher. So when you look back at every single situation, every scenario, and you're looking back at the chart, you can see where price has broken out, pulled back, right? In the opposite here, 1, 2, 3. Testing the breakout, this pullback, here and here. And that essentially is your market cycle. This in reverse. Remember, sometimes it will break even stronger all the way down here, pull back, and sometimes go here. And in this case, we broke the bottom of the range, came down here. And Again, same thing. We have lots of tests just like this. The price keeps doing the same thing over and over and over again. Here again, we have a nice breakout here, and then we pull back to test one of these. Breakout here, pull back, and in fact, you can see the wedge 1, 2, 3 trading range only tested this pullback, didn't even get that low, went even higher. And now we have, this is a final flag, go all the way to the top, nice triangle up here, tested this low, went back up, couldn't get past the moving average, clearly we're going lower, tested this low again, went back up, couldn't get high, came back down, tested this low, up, down, testing every single breakout, and this one in particular, till it gets to the bottom. And that's literally what's happening. And then sometimes we break it all the way down to make another bottom there. So using that knowledge, you can kind of plan your day. You can see what is happening based on anything that has happened prior. So let's say, for instance, now you have a breakout, pullback 1, 2, 3. You know that price is going to try and test this level. And if it can't get past this level, it will come back to the highs. And that's what exactly has happened here. It's come down here, try to get back to the highs. We had a triangle, came back down, tested a bit below it, went back up, came back, tested this. So this is the trading range. Went back up here, tested the highs here, broke out. Where is it headed? Up here. It was such a strong breakout. It broke this, till it got here. When it got here, couldn't get any higher, went back down. And where is it headed? Down here again. And that's exactly what's happened. So you know when you're taking your trades, that was the low. Spike, 1, 2, 3. So this is the low. We want to see it come back, test one of these highs, and it's come back, tested this one, double top, come back to test this low over here. We form a triangle. It usually forms a triangle when it's going to turn like that, like here. Forms a triangle, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and possibly a breakout here. And since it's broken out, it's probably going for a measured move, usually the size of this range. So if you do a measured move here, you can have that to that, and look at that, all the way here, right? So broke out of the range, testing the measured move, which is support, which actually happens to be, oh no, something else. Anyway, support, come here, did not get to 50%. If it can't get to 50%, it's going lower. That's exactly what's happened here for probably another measured move. Let's see if that, there we go, close. Anyway, tested it here, right? And we just kept on having breakouts. So breakout, pullback, 1, 2, 3. So where's it headed back to? Test here. We had a breakout above it. This is the last one. And then guess what? Testing this high. So now this is the trading range. Goes sideways, breaks out, has another wedge top, pulls back down. Trying to test here, but it's a major trend reversal. It's a pullback, 1, pullback 2, probably a third coming. We didn't get the third. Ah, that's interesting. Instead, we had a double bottom. And now we have this trading range. And now we've broken this trading range. Chances are we're going to try and double the range. Let's actually see. We normally go for a measured move. So if we do this from here, and look, it tested the top of the measured move round about here, broke out of the measured move target, which is the top of the range. Now, why do measured moves work? Because it's 50%. And 50% generally tends to be the area that both bulls and bears have equal, they're both evenly matched in terms of their stops. So whoever buys above that, his stop is down here. Whoever sells below that, his stop is all the way up there. And that's generally where we're at right now. So we've broken out of the range. We're kind of going sideways into another range. And we now need to see what happens. Are we going higher? Are we going lower? That all depends on how we trade this next region over the next few days.